Imagine this. You're standing at a crossroads, two paths stretching into misted eternity. One bears your name, carved by every choice you've ever made. The other, it pulses with divine fingerprints, ancient, sovereign, inevitable. You step forward, but suddenly, a question grips your soul. Did I choose this path, or was I chosen for it? What if every "I will" you've ever whispered was already written in the ink of eternity? And yet, what if that ink was guided by your own trembling hand? Is it possible to be truly free while also entirely known, entirely destined? Can the sovereign God write the script and still hand you the pen? Or are we marionettes pretending at freedom while heaven pulls the strings? If God is in control, what does that make of your choices? Hold on to that tension, because it holds the door to something far deeper. This isn't just theological, it's psychological, existential. Deep within us lies the desperate need for control and the equally desperate longing to surrender. It's a paradox that shapes nations, relationships, and the human soul. Augustine of Hippo wrestled with it. How can we sin by will if God foreknows our fall? Aquinas danced between reason and mystery. Kierkegaard called it the sickness unto death, the self in rebellion against the self. Freud might call it denial, Jung a confrontation with the shadow, but Lewis, he saw it as divine romance, free will as the necessary stage for love. And in a world obsessed with autonomy, this tension becomes unbearable. Culture tells you, you are the master of your fate. But your soul whispers, what if someone greater is guiding my steps? We're caught between illusion and destiny, and neither side feels truly safe. But safety was never the point. Because when you're trapped in this paradox without resolution, everything fractures. You either claim radical freedom, cutting God from the equation and bearing a weight your soul was never meant to carry, or you collapse into fatalism, blaming every broken moment on divine will, abandoning responsibility altogether. Our brains crave control. Neuropsychologists speak of agency bias, our tendency to overestimate our impact. Yet, when tragedy hits, we flip, blaming fate, God, or the universe. We toggle between God complex and victimhood, never finding rest. This silent war scars how we love, how we parent, how we pray. Why trust, why dream, why act, if it's all predetermined? And yet, how terrifying to believe that everything hangs on you. This internal split between sovereignty and choice infects not just theology, but your very identity. But what if the split was never real? What if you were meant to live inside the mystery? To break free is not to resolve the paradox, it's to bow before it. To accept that divine sovereignty and human freedom aren't enemies, they're dancers in divine choreography. Consider Joseph, sold into slavery. He later says, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." Both human choice and divine plan, interwoven, not either or, both and. It's counterintuitive. The more you trust God's sovereignty, the freer you become. Not in spite of it, but because of it. You're not authoring alone. The ink of heaven moves with your pen. Pascal called it the wager. Plantinga spoke of middle knowledge. Lewis saw God's story as a vast novel, where each character is fully alive, and yet the author knows the end. Your choices matter, and God reigns. To rebel against the illusion is to reclaim wonder. To live not in fear of control or chaos, but in communion with the infinite. Here's the haunting truth. God's sovereignty does not diminish your freedom, it dignifies it. Imagine a composer so brilliant, every note you play, even the dissonant ones, become part of his masterpiece. That's what divine sovereignty looks like. Not a puppet master, but a redeemer. Not a tyrant, but a father. Your will was never meant to compete with God's. but to collaborate, to echo, to respond in love. Freedom isn't the absence of God's rule, it's found within it. Just as fish are freest in water, you are freest in the river of God's will. So don't fear the mystery. Step into it. Live boldly. Choose deeply. Trust fiercely. You were never a pawn. You are a partner in eternity's unfolding story. Thank you for reflecting with me today. If this video meant something to you, consider liking and subscribing. And until next time, stay curious.